CEO of Utrust, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today. So I'm going to talk to you today about innovation, and specifically innovation in payments. So of course, blockchain. For those of you who don't know me, I joined this space in 2017, first as investor and then advisor, and then leaving actually my career at PayPal to join the next era of payment revolution at Utrust. So all stories of innovation start with people like me, with a necessity and something that needs to be fixed. So allow me to tell you my story first, because my story can become your story for change as well. I was lucky to be born on the good side of the world, like probably most of us here today in this room. As you can see, I'm a white woman living in a Western society. And that meant that I had access to education and opportunities that many can only dream of. And so I always tried to do what was best for society. I studied, I did a bachelor degree, I did a master degree. And then as a fresh graduate, I went working for a large tech organization, because at the time, that was the only viable path that I thought was available for me, because society taught us to play it safe. And I never thought that I could become an entrepreneur or even join a startup. And so I climbed the corporate ladder, and I did it kind of faster than others. And everyone seemed really excited about my success in my career, but I never felt really fulfilled by it. And I wondered, why did I study for so many years when no one really taught me anything about financial literacy, about building my wealth and my happiness according to my definition of success? And so I felt like I was on the outside looking in. I worked for many amazing companies in e-commerce, fintech, payments, and telco, and that was a great experience in so many ways. But I always felt there was somehow a barrier between the companies that I was representing and the final customer. Because if you think about it, people come to these industries like payments to fulfill a basic need. And us doing our job well can mean the difference between a company thriving or failing. And it can mean the difference between someone building wealth or losing their home. And I didn't feel that the space that I was representing was able to bring that mission to life. And something also felt weird about not being able to tell my customers how much they would end up paying at the end of the month. Because that is how traditional payment still works. The payment fees are unclear and opaque, and customers can never really know how much they will end up paying. What about you? Have you ever tried to understand how much you're paying if you're purchasing anything online? And what if you're buying anything? What if you're in a different country or paying with a different currency? Can you guess the final number that you will pay for that transaction? I challenge you to do so, because it's very difficult. Let's take an example of a seller selling in the US. They will probably end up paying 10% in payment processing fees on each transaction, plus a fixed fee, and conversion fees alone can eat into 12% of that value. So why does this happen, you might be asking? Because it's not as simple as a payment to go from the payer to the recipient. There are many middlemen in the payment chain. This is a simplified version that you're seeing here, but a middleman can be a bank, an acquirer, a payment processor, credit card schemes, and of course, each one of them will take a fee for the services they offer in the payment chain, plus Forex and conversion fees, so it's much more complicated than the one you're seeing here. Payments haven't seen any major innovation in the last 60 years. So the last major innovation was actually the credit card, which is an old technology built for an analog society where we had time to check everything manually. But we don't live there anymore. And thankfully, we don't have to live there anymore. Because finally, blockchain provides a way for untrusted parties, like buyers and sellers, to come to an agreement without the use of a middleman. And it can simply be defined as a decentralized ledger, recording all transactions, and information cannot be modified. rendering this a perfect pioneer to disrupt the payment ecosystem. Why do you need to share any personal data online, risking identity theft with every transaction, just because we're using decades-old technology? And why do I need to pay a bank to send money to any of my friends or family? And why does an immigrant need to pay cross-border fees to send money back home when no borders are actually crossed and everything is happening online? Think about it. And no one should be excluded from financial freedom. So this is the aspect of the technology that is more close to my heart, providing financial freedom to everyone. More than 2 billion people today, 2 billion people, are unbanked, and they don't have access to standard bank accounts or a money service provider. And now with blockchain, they're in, just with internet connection and a device. And so we're seeing adoption rising everywhere, but mostly in countries with high inflation, with unstable governments, where people are already using cryptocurrency to hedge their wealth. And so this is exactly what I was looking for since I started my career. True openness, transparency, and freedom with a technology that allows us to cut any traditional middleman like a bank. Cryptocurrencies have no nation, so no one gets to devalue them. No one gets to charge cross-border fees because these currencies have no flag. Blockchain is a system built for people and by people. You never get to share your personal information online. You never get to pay a bank because they're not in the picture at all. And most of all, you do not depend on a single entity to maintain the stability of the system. And so blockchain is really the internet technology of the Web3 era we're living in right now. And this is true for commerce, and this is true for payments. And specifically for payments, this technology allows us to cut payment processing fees up to 90%. And it allows us to completely eliminate the cost of chargebacks, costing $40 billion loss annually in e-commerce. And what I'm telling you is only scratching the surface of what this technology can do, because at Utrust, we're building a system that will make merchants money instead of charging them for fees. So the question is not really, can blockchain disrupt payments? Because it already is. The question is, how fast can it go? Thank you.